More than 10 years, hundreds of nights, thousands and thousands of kilometers and miles in the most remote backcountry areas of North America. Grizzly bear. Oh boy, and we're charging at me too. And these are the 7 things that I never leave behind. And some of them might surprise you. Number 1, my bear protection system. Grizzly bear now running. Where you going, Billy? Let's hope he's not running this way. Nope. He is running this way.
This way.
Not good. And yeah, notice I said system and not just one thing. I've had bear encounters on the Clearwater Red Deer circuit when I was alone and as far away from other humans as I possibly could be in Banff National Park. I've had them on the South Boundary Trail. I've had them at Glacier Pass, and I've had them in Yellowstone. Every single one of those moments reminds me why this matters. And here's what I carry. First and foremost, bear spray. Anytime, anywhere there's an encounter with a bear possible, I carry bear spray. Oh my God, there's a cub. There's a cub! It's a female! Oh my, okay. There's a cub! It's not buried in my pack. It's not somewhere clipped to my backpack where I can't reach it. I need to deploy it in seconds. 2 seconds. You have your bear spray ready? Good Lord. Talk about a little bit of hype, eh? And an Ursack, bear-resistant bag. You can take a bear can if you want, but I prefer an Ursack. It's easy to use. You tie it to a tree. I mean, let's be honest. Not everybody's great at hanging their food in a tree.
Who's gonna take the film?
Oh!
That's not a bad one. Maybe we could use that.
This takes all the worry out of it. 30 seconds to set up, the bear can't get in, your food is safe, and you sleep better. A proper rain layer. I mean, here's the thing about the backcountry. It can be sunny at 7 a.m. and pouring rain at noon, sunny again in the afternoon and pouring rain in the evening. That's just the way it goes, and you have to be prepared. And there's a difference between being wet and being cold wet. Cold wet is where things in the backcountry can go bad in a hurry. What I've settled on and what it took me years to learn is a combination of 3 things. An excellent Gore-Tex rain jacket, my rain kilt, and gaiters. Now we've had to gear up for the rain. Yes, I have the usual on. The rain kilt is the key here. It packs down small, it weighs nothing, it flows in the wind, and you don't sweat from the inside out. Keeps you dry every step of the way. This combo, no matter how odd it may look, is going to keep you dry and cool so you don't get wet from the inside out when you're backpacking in bad weather in the backcountry. We're going to have our turkey dinner tonight for Easter and a little appetizer of stuffing. 10 days, 160 kilometers, that's 100 miles, no resupply and nowhere to bail. That's typically a lot of my backpacking in remote areas of North America, so I bring enough food to last me the 10 days, and I bring extra food, at least another day's worth, and that doesn't mean granola bars. That means a full day of breakfast, lunch, snacks, and my dehydrated or freeze-dried supper in a pouch. This is not the place to count grams or ounces because things happen. Weather happens, injuries happen, delays happen. You don't know what could happen, but you'll feel a lot more secure if you know that you have extra food in your pack in case you get delayed. It will help you in more ways than that. The real thing it does for me is to make sure I don't get thinking about making bad decisions because I'm going to run out of food. If we get there tomorrow and we can't do it, we're still okay food-wise and such, planning-wise, to head down the Rocky River toward Rocky Forks, Medicine Tent, and out. Always have a plan B when you're out here in these areas. The mistake I see people making with food is they treat it like a logistics problem. They treat it like a weight problem. How little can I get away with for this 10-day trip? I don't do that. It's a fuel problem. You're hiking at altitude, you're carrying weight, You're exerting yourself, you might be in bad conditions, you're going to burn a lot more calories than you think, and you need to refuel every single day to make sure you get from point A to point B without any problems.
Yeah, I'm freezing.
Heavy's still cold. We actually went into our tents for a short time and got into our sleeping bags and put on some dry clothes and then warmed up. Okay, this one is non-negotiable for me. Dry camp clothes. We talked about getting wet. Sometimes you get wet from the inside out because you're sweating and exerting yourself in rain gear and you can get damp. So what's the first thing I do on those days when I get to camp? I change into my dry camp clothes. Whatever I hiked in comes off. I put on dry socks, dry base layer, dry pants, dry top base layer, puffy jacket, dry hat. And I'm in camp, and I'm comfortable, and I'm warm, and I'm recovering while my wet clothing hangs somewhere and gets dry. These clothes don't leave camp. I don't wear them in the morning. They go back in my bag, and I treat them as my dry, emergency, recovery clothes. I've been snowed on and hailed on and winded on out here, but this was epic. And of course, then we got cold. So I just emerged from my sleeping bag, so I'm not hypothermic. Here's the thing. The backcountry is cold at night, even in the middle of summer, especially at elevation. If you arrive at camp, kind of wet from the day, damp from the day, and you get in your tent and in your sleeping bag and try to go to sleep like that, you're going to have a miserable night, and you might even get your sleeping bag damp. And that's the real number one thing you don't want to get damp in camp. Bring some spare clothes, change into them in camp, have a comfortable recovering evening, and start all over the next morning fresh. Number 5, oh, this is a big one for me, the pee bottle. Yep, I said it, that's what I said. I don't just have one pee bottle, I have 2 pee bottles. Yes, the pee bottle, here it is. Ha ha, look at that beauty. Nobody puts this on their gear list, and nobody, well, except me, makes a full video about it. But after 10 years of sleeping in the remote backcountry, on rainy nights, on snowy nights, on long dark nights on the shoulder seasons, I never go without one. Well, 2. It's a wide mouth bottle. It weighs nothing. I mean, hey, it's an empty bottle. You're already carrying bottles. What's 1 or 2 more? Bottom line, here's the thing. It's 2 a.m. It's cold and rainy out, and you've got to pee. You're in your warm sleeping bag. You don't want to get out, so you try not to, and then you're awake, and you toss and turn, while other people are going out, getting dressed, heading out into the dark with their headlamp. I just stay in my tent, finish up, get back in my sleeping bag, and go right back to sleep. If you've done multi-day trips, long trips, cold trips, wet trips, and you haven't tried the pee bottle, and I'm talking to you too, ladies, because it does work for you as well, trust me, this may be the one thing, or 2 things, you might want to add to your list the next time you go out backpacking. That is a forest fire on a, as the crow flies, direct line to where we're going. So we're on the Garmin's. I've messaged Evelyn. Communication, SOS. Hey, this one isn't about you. This is about the people at home. I carry a Garmin InReach Mini 2. I had the Garmin before that. I had a Spot, but I always carry a communication device no matter what I'm doing or where I'm going, even if I'm just heading out on a long day hike in the beginning of the season to get in shape. Think about it. You're 4 days into an 8-day trip, you're in the middle of nowhere. Really, there's no cell service, but your family can tag along. If you enable it, they can watch you online, on a map, in real time. They can message you if there's an emergency or to ask you how you're doing. They'll worry less, you'll worry less, and you'll have a much more relaxing time in the backcountry knowing that if something were to come up, you'll know about it and you won't have to worry about it. Case in point, my friends Ann and Jim were hiking with me in the front ranges of Banff. There were wildfires around their house, and just through some sheer luck, looking for a weather report, we found out that their house was on evacuation order and they needed to get back and collect their personal belongings, their mementos, their important things in case that fire went through. They would never have known that without my Garmin InReach. Guess what? Now they have one too. Check in the weather and you find out there's an emergency back home for these guys. So that's a good thing. And here's what I'd say to anybody that thinks they don't really need one. Listen, the backcountry is not inherently dangerous if you're prepared. But remote means nobody's coming for you if you need them, unless you get a hold of them, unless you have a signal, unless you have a way to communicate or even press the SOS button. One device, real peace of mind for you and for those that care about you. This happened on day 3. This is my Black Diamond, what's it called? Alpine carbon cork trekking pole. And if you look here, you can see the carbon fiber has completely snapped off. It's usually about this long with the point. Well, that one's obvious, right? Especially if you're using a tent that requires them, like something like this. But what if you're not? What if you're just using them for support? This is one of those items that I always carried, and I thought, do I really need these? Well, you don't know you need something until one breaks. And there's everything that's in it for 10 days in remote Yellowstone National Park. Well, that's my 7. What's your 7? Put them in the comment section below. I'd love to know what your essentials are when you go out in the remote backcountry areas so you can enjoy backpacking as much as I do. I mean, like I said before, these are my 7 built up over thousands and thousands of kilometers and miles, hundreds and hundreds of nights, and crazy conditions in some of the most remote backpacking areas of North America. And if this video was useful to you, why not just hit the subscribe button? We've been at this since 2016 here on YouTube, and we're not going to stop anytime soon. The adventures are just beginning for this year, and I hope this helped you get prepared as well. One last question. How's the hike?